Hello and welcome back to Comic Studio, and this is Automotive Marathon in Comic Studio. Yeah, alright, but before we're gonna begin of this video, I absolutely added a lot more automobiles and multiple comic creators in the past few weeks and months. That since a year ago, I added for some sort of automobiles and supercars that I just added in for some sort of panel by panel and comic creator by comic creator for anything for to do this as well. Since back in 2024, my computer starts to get unplayable and becomes more older than I never imagined, but I just refuse to get rid of the files, and I'm not going to be trying to do like anyways as well. In the previous video, this could be the final review for those some sort of comics, but this is not what I just going to be meant to be as well. Until absolutely after Automotive Marathon, and the first thing we might going to be combine all together to put it all together and make a video for some sort of like this. And I wouldn't able to believe this isn't going to be insanely just like for great as well, making ads for Grand Theft Auto versions like these things as well. Grand Theft Auto loading screens like these things as well, as I probably remembered. And so the past few videos that we already reviewed or checked out for some sort of Friday Night Funkins, Sprunky, Sonic the Hedgehog, fan-made Alphabet LORE, users submitted like those things as Obsessions Studio for these times as well, and many more such as like The Rooms, Dandy's World, Cookie Run, Battle for Dream Island, and Sonic the Hedgehog things as well for some sort of Friday Night Funkin' and My Singing Monsters. Even for some sort of like those things as well, I would not able to recommend it as well as I scroll down for some sort of like these. Eventually, I wasn't able to be speaking Italian for a long time. I wasn't able to be doing these things as well. But unless we got one from over here for some sort of like these things as well. The Comic Rare Incorporated Comic Studio that I just already found out wasn't going to be even for this one. So the first thing was absolutely pixelated, including the Mario. Even I'm not pretty sure that wasn't gonna be pixelated even things as well, and probably including such as Pepino as well, and for some sort of extremely 3D huge goob from Dandy's World. I wouldn't believe that must be for other kinds of stuff, and for some sort of like these as well, and Lucky Blocks. That must be a little bit over here as well. The background shouldn't be able to be for appearing for these times as well, so it's gonna be a little bit closer to slow like these, including for some sort of like for some sort of backgrounds as well. So it won't be able to be taking a long while. But it's just not here for like these things as well. So let's just turn on the dark mode, and we'll be seeing here nothing over here. So I never just going to be finding out for a lot more things to do. So anyways, let's do for some sort of the automotive marathon around here. So we're not going to be doing here for this way as well. So well, let's start with these things as well. It's taking a little bit long time for over 15 minutes of this video. Before I'll begin with this, I have spent so much time for listening to music as well and preparing for something kind of for one thing, whatever it wants to do this as well, and especially adding for amount of sprites and new pages like them so to be created as well. So even though let's go and to get started with actually for these things as well. But starting with this isn't going to be for some sort of like this, as I put Mater over here between those twin mills and other kinds of stuff as well. But instead of this, we absolutely covered him for copyright reasons, but I never guessed for that further ado, as I'm going to be scrolling down. You may absolutely see one of the South Park characters have gathering within the twin mills itself. and probably added a little bit a bunch of South Park characters, even for these things as well, even for that one as well, and probably this guy as well. Need for other kinds of like the cookies itself from the expanded comic studio over here, and even added for some kind of like these cars for an unknown car, and right next to Porsche Panamera and the MCI J4500. That wasn't going to be right next to these towns as well. I mean, it was not like these things as well. The countryside looks like even crazy and bizarre. It was fictional like these things as well. And even though that we added more automobiles such as the Ford Mustang convertible and the Pagani Huayra Roadster. And right, these two could be Ferrari 360 Stradale or the Ferrari 360 Stradale right next to the Lamborghini Gallardo. Like this, the Gallardo could be for right next to the 360 Stradale, could be for the Ferrari as well. So probably nothing next up for around itself, which is only one thing as well. But I guess I should be able to be clicking for one thing as well before I gotta load another one as well. And probably that I just added for much of automobiles as well, such as the Lamborghini Huracan wasn't driven like these things as well. But in front of the driving seat could be for around Dancing Cookie from the Lost Golden City over here. One Acura NSX, and right next to Tesla Model S, and for some sort of like this. And I already added a Mustang, and probably like the Shelby GT500, or nothing it was, the Cobra Mustang as well, and another one is right next to GMC Terrain. And probably that must be a military Ram 3500 Cummins, and could be driven for some sort of like anything as well. I'm not probably sure that wasn't going to be added for some sort of automobiles as well. And nothing especially like these. We cover him for these things as well. Like, I wasn't probably excellent for some sort of like those reasons over here. So another one is the Cookie Run Comic Studio from over here. And if I'm gonna be making a little bit for messing these up as well, so that must be Lightning McQueen from over here. And even it's absolutely for one purpose as well. Supercars like these could be for the Bentley XP10, the Koenigsegg CCSR, or some sort of the Koenigsegg for only one reasons as well. So I never better that we're going to be fun as well. I didn't probably going to be fine for just yet now, as the Koenigsegg CC80 or some sort of an unknown things as well for some kind of like this. I didn't remember about this card that I just completely forgetting about here, since I just listened to the music for a little bit much as well. And we already added for some sort of kinds of automobiles as well, and such as the Chevrolet Traverse, the Ford GTX-1, the Mustang, and literally many more as well. So even though I just completely added 1 year ago, I added for some sort of vehicles as well, such as the NASCAR Fusion, the GTA Spano, the AMG1 from Mercedes, that must be for a, we really know is the Chevrolet Traverse, the Ford Mustang Boss 302, the GTX-1, and the Lamborghini Aventador J. And literally it's gonna be over here for these times as well. Probably more buses for like itself, more J4500s around for these things as well. Even it's right next to the McLaren F1 GTR, and right next for their kinds of Ringo and Atari, and next to Porsche Panamera. And that must be two police cruisers, such as the Ford Crown Victoria and Vapid Stanier. And probably it wasn't going to be driven by James Bond like those things as well. But eventually Lopez and Michael DeSanta was absolutely been right next to the Aston Martin DB10, and there is the Ken Block Mustang on Radiator Springs. It's slightly nothing going to be over here for these things as well. We have seen another Lightning McQueen, and probably added a Tesla Model S, another Traverse, like old-fashioned as well, and the Chrysler 200, including for the previous or Prevost H345, and probably like other kinds of vehicles. Could be for the R34 Skyline GTR, and another one is the TVR 12-speed Capybara as well. And for some sort of like the old-fashioned school bus being modified by equestrial girls. But right, another over here for some Pixar cars for around here is going to be up here. And nothing, of course, could be for around with these cars like itself. That wasn't going to be driven, driven by me as well. Including Roblox that I just already messed around here, which includes General Motors vehicles, like the Chevrolet HHR, the Ford F-250, the Cadillac Escalade, Buick Lucerne, Jaguar XJ, and finally right here is the Dodge Grand Caravan. And probably right over here for some sort of more automobiles, for some sort of like the Pixar car reference. Even contains police cars, a fire truck, race cars, sports and muscle cars, including like old-fashioned vintage automobiles like themselves, including a pizza truck and some sort of flying machines as well, or some sort of like these things as well. So moving on to for the Cozy Cafe for one thing. And before the part 1 ends, the part 2 is going to be coming up a little bit shortly as well, that I just going to be for edit a little bit for part 1 as well. Since we just already added for these 1 year ago for some sort of like these things as well. Especially this isn't going to be for some sort of like, it's not going to be 1 year ago. It's been for around for some sort of a few months ago that I just added for some kind of vehicles, such as another F-250, the Ford Expedition, the old-fashioned Chevy Traverse, the Audi Q7, the Chevrolet Super Sedan, and finally the Mercury Grand Marquis. It wasn't going to be driven by this guy as over here. So nothing beyond for these things as well that I just already clicked it around here for these, another one as well. And probably another one could be eventually like these, as for something like for some kind of another person as well, wearing a conductor's hat as well. Which is I already added for a Lincoln Town Car. The Lincoln Town Car from right over here for as well. The Chevrolet Express van over here. It's not going to be South Asian over here. So probably this is American reference over here. And which includes with Chevrolet Bolt over here right next to a little female over here. I didn't actually add it for some sort of another driver, which contains for around a little bit or something as well. And I added a little bit for some sort of like these. That must be her on the trunk of the Dodge Ram. It was Ram 1500. And right next to these guys for around for those things as well, including another female over here, it was another Porsche Panamera with some sort of like these things as well. And finally, the Mercury Milan. It could be for around with this thing over here. Nothing especially from right over here could be itself. The part 2 is coming up next pretty soon at about here for right here as well. So the link is going to be in description below in Comic Studio. Browsing some comics, whatever you want, before going to get sued for around here for in the future as well. So thanks for watching, for your support, and I'm going to be signing off, and I'll talk to you mini lads and Comic Studio users all later. And that wasn't going to be that we're not done yet to be looking for something that I just completely add in for some other kinds of comic studios. And because of next videos, there will be more.